Hi folks, I have your latest home price numbers for week ending September 13th. These last 2 weeks have been extremely interesting when it comes to pricing and comparisons and what's happened for 1 week over the next. Back to school has affected home prices. The holiday Monday has affected home prices. Our summer was more like a spring. There's so many crazy things going on in this market today. Let's get right into it. I'm going to talk about first Vaughan, then I'm going to get into the Toronto market. My name is Santo Sessa with RE/MAX Premier. If you enjoy these videos, I'm asking that you subscribe, hit the bell button so you're reminded, and I love your comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. Put it in the comments below. Okay, so looking at Vaughan, and this is just for freehold properties, and my chart's getting a little bit messy here. I've started from March 8th. Hope you can see that in the camera there. This is just before we went into the lockdown. We were sitting at high prices. These numbers up top are average sold prices and sales along the bottom here on a weekly basis. So when we look at, if you recall, when I talked about my previous video, when I talked about the month of August, and if you're just looking at that, and if you're getting your reports only from CP24 or just what the media is announcing, the last time they talked about real estate numbers was for the month of August. And it seemed like everything was way up through the roof. And even when I reported last year, I was reporting August this year versus August last year, and everything was up 20%, 15%, sales, prices, average sold prices. It seemed like we're in a boom and everything is fantastic. Well, comparing things to prices to last year, it's a whole different world last year, a whole different market this year. There's so many factors going on. Looking at it in this perspective on a weekly basis, it's going to give us different numbers. So when we look at sales, from 1 week to the next, sales dropped a little bit, and there's no reason to get alarmed there. The Monday of this week here, of week ending September 13th, was a holiday Monday, was the long weekend, was the Labor Day. Although vacations weren't the same this year like they were last year, where people were leaving the countries, vacations were still happening. People were taking time off. I've been working with some buyers that have said to me, hey, you know what? For these next few days, let's just cool it a little bit. It's the last weekend before my kids go back to school. We're going to go away. We're going to go to cottage, or we're going to go visit friends or family, and they just wanted to take a break for a few days. Well, average price from 1 week to the next drop. The amount of properties that have sold at $2 million or more, now this is just for Vaughan freehold, is basically staying the same. But if you look at this on a per week basis, it's going to drive you crazy because prices go up, prices go down. But if you kind of step back a little bit and look at the trend, when I look at this, what I see is that the last few weeks for August, we were very close to where we were prices before we went into the lockdown. We got much higher here still, but over the last couple of months, prices in general have been trending down. Now, when I say that, I say that with a bit of caution, because this is going to be a theme throughout a lot of the slides here today. What happens in your neighborhood and the houses similar to yours is really the most important factor, whether your house is worth more or not. And if you're looking to buy in a particular neighborhood, it's going to determine whether you should be paying more than what the previous house sold for, or you should be paying less. But generally speaking, the trend for Vaughan freehold properties over the last couple of weeks has been trending down. When we compare to last year, and last year was a different world, we're still a little bit higher than we were with last year's price. Sales, well, here's an interesting thing. normally we're comparing sales this year. The orange is this year, the blue is last year. It's this particular week is really tough to compare because we had our holiday Monday, where last year the holiday Monday for the long weekend for Labor Day was the previous week. So it's really tricky to compare. But sales dropped a little bit over last week, where they were staying in the 70s over the last 4 weeks. They dropped a little bit, but we had a shorter week with the holiday Monday. And when we look at listings went up. So sales went down, but listings went up. It's a holiday Monday, and whether you're listing or you're buying, you kind of have a different attitude towards things. The holiday Monday takes some of the buyers out of the market. For listings, we cover the same week, although not too many new listings come up during the holiday weekend. A lot of people that were about to list coming into the holiday weekend hold off and wait till after the holiday Monday. So towards the end of the week, we saw a lot more listings coming onto the market. We need the next few weeks for things to become a little bit more normal. When we look at months of inventory, well, listings came up. Sales didn't come up quite as bit. We had more active listings out there. So months of inventory went up a little bit. Average sold price dropped down a little bit. Looking at Vaughan condos, there's not that many sales, so I'm reluctant to really get into the detail. However, there's one observation I do want to mention. We've been kind of bashing condos in general. City of Toronto condos, GTA condos, Vaughan condos, thinking, oh man, the condo market is not what it was before. And you're right, there's a lot of aspects of the condo market, not what it was before. But here's some positive news. The condo prices have not fluctuated up and down, so the peaks and the valleys, the way the freehold properties have been fluctuating in peaks and valleys. And we'll get into that a little bit more when we get to the Toronto prices. Compared to last year, actually, where it flipped here. So Vaughan condos have been going back and forth. Prices are pretty steady across the board. Sales, we did a little bit less than we did last year. Listings are much higher than they were last year. And months of inventory, we are just heading into a balanced market. And if you're out there competing or looking to buy condos or selling your condo, you're going to find that it's pretty even keel. There's a lot of room to negotiate often with the condos, or condos are sitting on the market a little bit longer. Okay, so City of Toronto. These are just my freehold numbers just for the City of Toronto. Sales from 1 week to the next dropped by quite a bit. We were in the mid 300s. The week before Labor Day, we went up to 400, was one of the higher points, higher than we were even before the lockdown. However, we dropped holiday Monday, sales dropped. The amount of properties that sold at $2 million or more also dropped. And you'll find that it dropped in proportion to the amount of sales. So that's something to consider there. But when I step back and I look at this more from a distance, I'm finding that the trend, not what happened in 1 week to the next, and that's what I put all my energy into. It's overall what's happening with GTA freehold prices. Overall, prices are trending down. It's not a crash. It's not a, oh my God, it's trending down overall from our high point in June to where we are now, September. Now, a typical season, a typical year without crazy undue influences like this health crisis, a typical year. Spring, prices up, activities up, sales, listings, everybody's scrambling to buy and to sell, and prices are higher. Come summer, market softens. So a little bit less of everything, prices tend to come down. Not drop, but tend to come down. The fall is like our second spring. Prices tend to go up again. Activity tends to go up, usually not as high as the spring, but tend to go up. And then the winter, they tend to come down, and then again in the spring. Well, our spring this year, we're locked down, stay home. Everything dropped, like right down. So our spring was delayed into our summer. Now August, so here's June and July, we had high prices here. Activity sales were high. So our spring kind of got moved into July, beginning of August. Well, August prices started to soften then, which kind of seems to predict a normal kind of market. Well, now we're all going crazy with back to school, people occupied with that, people thinking about a second wave, people wondering what's going on. We don't know what's going to happen. But if over the next few weeks, prices and sales tend to go up, which I kind of expect is going to happen. So if you're looking for a prediction, that's what I expect to happen. That would be in the normal scheme of things. That would be a typical market that the fall prices, activity tend to go up, and then they soften again in the winter. We don't know what's going to happen for sure, but that's kind of what we're looking at. The health, our whole situation here with the health crisis is going to play a big factor in activity and prices. On a week-to-week basis, it looks like we're sitting exactly where we were last year with average sold price for Toronto freehold properties. But the weeks before, we were 17% higher, 9% higher. So don't, on a weekly basis, look at this and make a prediction. Look at the trend. Generally speaking, we've been higher, and depending on what happens over the next few weeks, will determine where we stay at. Okay, so these are sales. Sales, we did less sales this week than we did the same time last year. However, Holiday Monday was here. Last year, the Holiday Monday was the week before. So we did more this year on our Holiday Monday week than we did last year. And listings, same idea. Months of inventory, we're sitting at 1.5 months of inventory. The week before Labor Day weekend, we shot down a little bit to 1.1, but generally speaking, 1.4, 1.5 is where months of inventory have been sitting at. And you can see the price fluctuations. Let me just go back real quick to this slide here. You know, you're at 1.5, 1.275, 1.142 was the low point over here. The fluctuations on average sold price with the freehold is quite high. Getting into the condo market, prices over the last couple of weeks have actually gone up. This is average sold price. Sales did drop, but they dropped in every market segment because of the Holiday Monday. But looking at the fluctuation in prices, we've been bashing. I mean, everybody's worried and talking about the condo market's not where it was. It's true, it's not where it was. However, the fluctuations of the peaks and valleys, the highs and lows, the condos have actually been more stable over this year than the freehold properties are. The prices of high and low is just more even keel. Just something to note there. Looking at compared to last year, we're still sitting about 10% higher than we were at last year's average sold price. And sales are much lower than they were last year this time. Listings, a lot of listings have gone out there. Over 1,100 new condo listings, and we've not seen that kind of a number for a long, long time. Months of inventory, sitting at 2.6 months of inventory. It has been dropping from where it was at 4.5, which kind of explains the increase in average sold price. As months of inventory comes down, supply and demand, average price goes up, and the reverse. That's what's going on. In general, prices have been trending down. We do expect in the fall prices to go up. Now, what does this mean to you? Did your home lose value? It's tough for me to say. What happened in your neighborhood really is going to determine whether your home's price has gone up or whether your home's price has come down. I'm only giving you raw data, but it needs to be interpreted for your situation. This is why it's so important, especially these days, to hire an awesome realtor. And we wear different hats. When I'm hired to sell a home, I'm looking at things from a different perspective than if I was hired to buy a home. So if I'm looking at to sell a home, I look at the trends, but I'm looking at what's sold in your neighborhood and I'm comparing to yours, what's recently sold. But the most important thing is really going to be the marketing. I'm looking to attract the buyer that is prepared to spend more on your home than another buyer. That's my job. The marketing is so important, and not enough emphasis is put on that. If you hire me to buy, you're looking to buy a property and you say, Santo, help me buy a house. I'm looking at the people selling homes, and many times they're not even on the market yet, but I'm looking to find people that want to sell, that maybe have some pressures that are willing to sell for a little bit less. So it's different attitudes if you're looking to buy and looking to sell, and your real estate agent really should have a different perspective on that. My name is Santo Sessa with RE/MAX Premier. Once again, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe. I'd love to hear your comments below. Have an awesome day, and we'll talk to you next week.